I mean, we've kind of breezed past the She-Hulk, unless you want to give your thoughts on She-Hulk overall, Tom.
I only watched the first 3 episodes and then part of the last episode.
Literally the same as Paulie, then.
Yeah, like I really had.
Wow.
I fell out after that 3rd episode, and then when the way everybody was talking about the show, I'm like, yeah, there's no reason for me to continue with this.
Wow.
But other than that, of course, I've been keeping up with all the behind the scenes nonsense for the most part. But no, I think overall that it's not going to get a 2nd season. I'm sure it was a bad experiment. It had a lot of potential, but sadly,
it did genuinely actually
unrealized.
Yeah. Well, what do you make of the comments now? Them saying that they did it to troll fans. I mean, I reckon that's just them running cover. You didn't do this to troll fans. You thought this would land.
Well, definitely maybe not the entire thing, but definitely the bits with the bad guy. And I'm not convinced now so much. Like at first, like the whole Doomcock thing, I was like, I don't know about that. It's just they're probably doing like just an anonymous thing. But then between that and the more attacks that they made on YouTubers, between just that pettiness, it almost and just the way they presented the character and certain things, to me at this point, I'm not so much convinced that they didn't. And this is a typical move of certain people when they know because they even say they tried to preconceive what the fans were going to say, and even the article was like, oh, how do you feel about getting it right? Well, they didn't get it right. Because some people nobody really overall hated the series. The biggest thing I hear from everybody is just unrealized potential, right? Because this could have been like an Ally McBeal meets Night Court type show in the Marvel universe, and it just didn't.
It's because the character's actually really well liked as well. That's the main thing.
That too,
that character.
Yeah, she's a very beloved character, and that's what I noticed because I've never been a big fan of She-Hulk, but I'm not a big fan of derivative characters in general. But I do know whenever I bring it up, people are like, oh no, you just don't understand. She-Hulk is this, and she's kind of her own thing. And so yeah, I get she's got kind of a cult following of sorts, if not more than a cult following. But from what I hear about what everybody says about the series compared to the original character, it's like this series is the absolute opposite of everything She-Hulk is. So it's like, how does that work? Like down to things like her personality. Like she's not like this, neurotic, man-hating witch in the comics. She's very confident and she loves men and so on and so forth, but she doesn't act like a slut of sorts like she does on this show, from what I've heard. And same thing with like the fourth wall breaking. It's much better utilized in the comics, and like at her job, she's not allowed to be She-Hulk in the comics, to where this is the opposite, which it's like, why would you do that unless you're going to do something interesting with it? And, them admitting that they don't know anything about courtroom drama or how courtroom works, right there tells you a lot.
Egregious, isn't it? I mean, that's just egregious as hell. They didn't even get anyone on board that knew about it. So they're just like, yeah, we don't know anything, so whatever. We're just going to make it up. What?
Yeah, no, I didn't have much more to say other than, just their hubris, and the attack on fans was just unnecessary, and it didn't do anything more than just stir the shit up some more.
I think your point's good though. Unrealized potential. Paulie, I guess, like, is that how you saw it as well, or do we just like, no, this is shit, I just can't be bothered?
Well, I would say it had a lot of potential until I started watching it. I mean, I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't. It's like, I could kind of get. I know that they're trying to be funny, but when you're being schmactery, right? Actor schmactery. It's like you're being funny just to yourself, right? And so
it seemed that's a good
didn't
point.
work for me.
It did seem like it was just an in joke between everyone there. It was like, this is great. We're finding this really funny. It's like no one else is though. Like that's not funny at all.
Well, these guys don't even know how to write a joke, and I've seen it a few times in the show that I did watch. Like a great example is very early on. You have the part where they insist that she's She-Hulk at work, and she goes, "Oh, I like this suit." So naturally, the joke only works if in the next scene you see her as She-Hulk and the suit is all ripped up to shreds, right? It's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't get destroyed at all. So you're like, that's not how a joke works. Even that is a simple basic idea, and even though it's not a great joke, it's like you can't even get that right. There's a lot of moments like that where they just don't quite get the joke themselves. I think it's like, no, there's a better joke here, but you guys are just shit writers.
Yeah, I completely concur.